Many people are dropping serious cash into Rolex investments, hoping to see some nice returns down the line. Yet there's a buzzing debate whether this is a wise move or just a fancy way to flush money away. Well, stick around because we're diving deep into this topic today, giving you the thing you need to know. Now let's chat about Rolex watches. They're the epitome of luxury, a classic marker that you've hit the big leagues. Picture a CEO or a company president. That's who you typically see sporting a Rolex. But here's the thing. Beyond its flashy appeal and status boost, are Rolex watches a good or bad investment? If you've dipped a toe into the luxury watch waters, you probably know there's some potential treasure to be found in building up a collection. Now, if the idea of sinking cash into luxury pieces like Rolexes feels a bit foreign, more so than sticking to the usual stock or real estate paths, you might be wondering whether it's a shrewd investment or just a polished way to lose money. No stress, though. We're here to lay out all the details about getting into the Rolex game. Now let's unpack whether this could be a wallet-wise decision or just a flashy fling. Materials. Digging into what makes a Rolex so special, you hit the jackpot with the materials. We're talking about high-grade 904L stainless steel, which isn't just tough, it's practically invincible against rust and corrosion. Then there's the gold, sourced ethically and processed in-house to ensure nothing but the purest bling makes it to your wrist. And let's not skip over the sapphire crystal. Tougher than a weekend quiz on quantum physics, it keeps your watch looking pristine. Investing in a Rolex is like buying an armored truck. It looks great and is built to safeguard your investment from the volatility of less tangible assets. Limited availability. Rolex's strategy of playing hard to get really ramps up the allure. With only a limited number of pieces released each year, snagging a Rolex is like getting backstage passes to the hottest concert in town. You feel like part of an elite group. This exclusivity not only maintains demand, but can spike the value of certain models over time, turning them into collector's gold. So while you strut around with this piece of history, remember you're not just wearing a watch, you're sporting a potential gold mine. Clout. Now onto the street cred. Owning a Rolex is more than just a style move. It's a power play. It instantly broadcasts that you're someone who's arrived, figuratively and literally. Built on decades of distinguished history and adorned by the wrists of the elite and discerning, Rolex's reputation is worth its weight in gold at auction houses. It's not just about keeping time. It's about keeping up with the Joneses and overtaking them. I mean, a Rolex makes a statement that your time, much like your investment, is extremely valuable. If you're pondering whether Rolexes make for good investments, the simple answer is absolutely. But it's a bit more nuanced than that. Not every Rolex is built the same, and while some could be your financial anchor, others might just be more about the look. Let's dive into a couple of Rolex models that are not just watches, but potentially smart investments. Number 1. The Rolex Submariner. Everyone loves the Submariner. It's more than just a staple, it's a statement, especially the versions churned out before 2020. That year they stopped making the classic 40mm model, instantly turning anything pre-2020 into a collector's item. Like finding an old vinyl that sounds better with time, these watches are not just about keeping up with ours, they're about diving deep, literally. With a water resistance down to 300 meters and a design that's both suave and durable, it's built for both cocktail parties and exploring coral reefs. Number 2. The Rolex GMT Master and GMT Master 2. Talk about classics. The GMT Master series is like the cool, globe-trotting uncle of the Rolex family. Both old and new models hold their value well, but the vintage pieces, they're gold. The GMT watches are known for their dual time zone feature, which is super handy if you're living life in more than one time zone. It's not just a watch. It's your personal time machine, whisking you from London tea time to New York, lunch dates in a twist of the bezel. Number 3. The Rolex Daytona. Ever wonder why it's called the Daytona? It's all about speed and precision, much like the famous Daytona International Speedway, where race car drivers burn rubber and live on the edge. Introduced in the 1960s, the Cosmograph Daytona was crafted with these speedsters in mind. These days, it's kind of like a collector's white whale, rare and highly coveted. Finding one from before the digital scoreboard era means you've got something special that's not just sitting around in any jeweler's window. Plus, the sleek design, tachymetric scale, and chronograph functions are perfect for anyone who loves the thrill of a countdown and the rush of a final lap. Number 4. The Rolex Day Date. Moving on to the Day Date, this model is a bit of an oddity with its all-gold flair. Kind of retro, really. Gold watches have fallen a bit out of fashion, which paradoxically makes this watch more appealing to collectors. It's like owning a piece of classic Hollywood, glamorous and a tad nostalgic. The Day Date comes with the added perk of spelling out the day of the week in full, which was quite the innovation back in the day, and adds a touch of old-school luxury to its profile. So investing in a Day Date is a bit like buying a vintage car that turns heads. Sure, it's a bit more conspicuous, but that's part of the charm. Number 5. Any Rolex vintage watches. Talking vintage now, and here's the scoop. Vintage Rolexes are like fine wine. They just get better with age. There's a reason why older models are more prized. Think about it. Over the years, many get lost, some get broken, and others are stashed away in vaults, making them rarer by the minute. So if you stumble upon an old Rolex, it's not just a watch. It's a slice of history, a piece of craftsmanship that stood the test of time. It's like scoring an original pressing of a classic album, both rare and endlessly cool. So are you thinking about adding a Rolex to your investment portfolio? Great idea, but let's make sure you do it the right way. Don't just click buy on the first shiny Rolex that pops up in your online hunt. Like crafting a fine cocktail, choosing the right Rolex requires a bit of finesse and know-how. Tip number 1. Buy from a reputable seller. First things first, make sure you're dealing with the real deal. Stick with authorized dealers or well-known auction houses when hunting for that perfect Rolex. It's a lot like picking a fantasy football team. You want a player with a solid track record that won't let you down when the game gets tough. Tip number 2. Check the condition and accessories. Now the condition is key. A Rolex in tip-top shape, complete with its original box and paperwork, is like a vintage car with low mileage, far more desirable and valuable. Those papers and the box aren't just accessories, they're proof of your watch's history and authenticity, which can seriously jack up its resale value. Tip number 3. Look for the unpolished diamonds. Here's a pro tip. Keep an eye out for an unpolished Rolex. It might sound counterintuitive, like preferring a dusty bottle of wine over a polished one, but in the watch world, unpolished is the equivalent of untouched and full of potential. Most Rolexes have seen a polishing cloth more than once, so finding one that's dodged this bit of spit and polish is like stumbling upon a rare edition of your favorite comic book. Remember, investing in a Rolex is not a hit-and-run affair. It's more like slow roasting a perfect brisket. The longer you hold onto it, the rarer and more valuable it becomes. Over the years, as fewer of the same model remain on the market in good nick, your piece will become a rarer sight, potentially fetching a much higher price down the line. It's all about playing the long game and watching your investment mature. So there you have it. The inside scoop on whether Rolex watches are a savvy investment or just a lavish indulgence. With their top-notch materials, limited availability, and undeniable clout, it's clear that investing in a Rolex can be a smart move. But remember, not every Rolex is created equal, so choose wisely. And why not explore our other videos while you're at it? Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more insightful content. Until next time, happy investing.